Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Dirty Harry. So, let's get dirty or let's get hairy. Maybe less on the hairy part. So, I don't know. I'm just riffing here. So, you know what? I've never actually fully seen this movie before. I've gone on and I of course seen the most like iconic scene from this movie, the 44 Magnum, most powerful handgun. Did I shoot 5 shots or did I shoot 6? Out of all this excitement, yeah, like that whole like thing I've seen, even to the point because you can't avoid it at some points. Like you would go on and go on to Robot Chicken. And Robot Chicken would do that line with Clint Eastwood. And the guy was like, well, you know what? I am feeling pretty lucky. And so the guy just goes on and is to do all these robberies and all these like horrible crimes, and he needs to get away with all of it because he's just lucky now. And so like that was like a weird like parody variation of this whole thing. But yeah, like iconically this movie has stood the test of time, and really at a lot of points in this movie, like it's a very dark film. I can't really see what's going on in some points. And not to mention we have freaking Hot Mary. Like, man, that movie just sells it right there. Just that some of that Hot Mary, as well as a number of just other times where I'm like, man, there seems to be quite a bit of women and stuff in this film. Never realized it because I've never seen this film in its entirety besides the iconic scene. So so like I had fun with this film, and really hopefully you will too. Check it conveniently out on Netflix. Really there's actually a lot of decent films on Netflix now to where it's like, like I'm intrigued to see this. I'm intrigued to see this. Normally, besides like the brand new releases that get plopped down on there, I'm like, what garbage is this? But like, there seems to be some stuff on there where it's like, ooh, like I've always wanted to get to this finally, and here's my justification for going on and doing that. So that's great. For how long that lasts, who knows? But I'm gonna go on and talk about this film. So really beyond the iconic 44 Magnum thing, I feel like there's a lot of movies that have gone on and had at some points do stuff with this film. Like so much about this can feel like the Zodiac movie with the whole like uh putting an answer out in some newspaper and stuff like that to from the police to the killer. And also I think the whole like the payout thing with the whole like phone booths, like that has technically been done seemingly in a lot of stuff, where like this is like similar but not the same. When we would go on and have like Die Hard with a Vengeance, where like both Bruce and Samuel L. Jackson would be chasing around town getting to these phone booths to try and have Simon Says tell them what the next thing is, put water in the cylinders, and all these goofy things that happen in that film for whatever reasoning. So so I feel like this payout chase around thing has happened a lot. Um, and I don't know exactly if everybody just stole it from this movie, but either way, I thoroughly always enjoy Clint Eastwood. Um, Whether he is to be this like aggressive guy, like Play Misty for me actually was like a very interesting film. Watching that because we had like Clint Eastwood kind of being the victim up against this like crazed woman. Man, is that an interesting film? Um, but yeah, but I always thoroughly enjoyed Clint Eastwood, and luckily we're seeing him in so many films. And to more along the lines, he goes on and does mostly like comedy and stuff like that now. But like still, like he does really fun films, and I thoroughly enjoy them. So teeing it up, what is this movie about? So, also Lucifer. There was a episode in Lucifer where they had like this sniper episode, and we had Chloe who was to kind of have this pen and take this bullet casing just like the beginning of this film. And I'm like, oh my god, was this like a Dirty Harry reference that I didn't even realize because I've never seen this movie until now? Like, that is so cool. But I'm just kind of curious if a number of other movies had done that and I didn't even realize it because I've never seen fully Dirty Harry until now. So, but let's tee it up. So, in this movie, we of course have a sniper who is assassinating a number of random people. Not exactly the freshest concept because I've seen so many movies do that now. But we go on and have this guy who is to assassinate some rando and leave a note stating what his next intentions are. And so now we have to have Dirty Harry with his new partner that he's not exactly a fan of, because Dirty Harry, I guess, doesn't really like partners, or really most of his partners end up either dead or hurt pretty badly. So Harry goes on to have to try and like get to this killer who is to, I guess, be named Scorpio. All they say in this IMDb is they just call him Killer, but I would just rather call him Scorpio because he signs every letter with that. And so Harry has to try to prevent Scorpio from killing others while also going on and doing his regular job of being a detective, and is to try and save people one way or the other, or to have to put a bullet in them. Because that's how dirty Harry really is. And we'll figure out why he ends up getting that name. It's pretty simple. He does the job that no one else wants to do. So it's like, well, maybe I should have just been called Dirty Harry. Just like going through and doing like the jobs nobody wants. Like siphoning through trash and having to chuck away just all garbage and just like the worst jobs you could possibly imagine. It's like, why do I have to do that? Because no one else wants to. You're the lowest freaking guy in the totem pole. But hey, like, I guess you're to get paid maybe enough to do that kind of job. I don't know about that. But anyway, just siphoning through trash is just a great job. Anyways, let's go on. So let's go into that double 5 time territory. Let's just go into spoiler time about this one. Netflix right now. It's currently on Netflix. Check it out. I didn't know because there's just random crap that just pops on Netflix. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I can check this out now. It's a good time to actually go through Netflix, except for some of the new release stuff. It's like, what the is this? Like, I don't know if I really want to watch this. Anyways, so let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time is about the time I get spoiled this movie. So in the very beginning of this film, of course, we are to have Scorpio, aka Keeler, go on and be on this rooftop with his sniper gun out. And sniper rifle? Sniper thing. He's sniper thingy. Anyways, he is to be at this rooftop, and he is to be positioned to be at the height of this building, where all of a sudden there is to be this woman swimming at the top of this building, because at the roof there is to be this swimming pool there. So, regardless. So, Keeler kills this woman by shooting her in the back. And then she's like, oh, and then she just kind of like, she has to figure out how to die in this pool. And like, we just start to see like little bits of blood kind of coming out. And like, okay. It was like, it kind of felt like the woman had to like figure out how to die. Like, oh no. It's weird. So we go on and we have Harry coming in on this case, and he is to go to the opposite building and find the bullet casing, because we always just have killers who are to go on and just not clean up after they kill somebody, right? Maybe they were in a rush, even though probably someone didn't probably hear the gunshot. So as Harry is to get the bullet casing, he is to turn and realize there is a sheet of paper with a note from Scorpio, the killer. And we now have a moment where this transitions to I believe the mayor, and the mayor is rattling off this note as he's Casey Kasem, and he writes, I am the killer. I would like $100,000. Shouldn't you have said something way more substantial than that? Because, well, I guess maybe during that time that might have been quite a bit of money. But so we have it where, of course, they're going on here, and they're finding out that they're going to possibly kill a pastor or like another person. Like they didn't say what this guy was to say, and I'm not going to either. And unless they don't fork over the dough. So we're having Harry and all these other detectives kind of like seeing what they have, or kind of have to say about it. And so Harry's wanting to chime in, and all of a sudden this one guy just keeps sitting up, is like, well, I feel blah, 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 blah. And Harry's like really, like, you got to stand up every time, and like, okay, whatever. So they're going on and mentioning all the crap that they have to go on and do here, and so everyone leaves. So Harry goes on and is to eat a hot dog at some place, and Harry is to notice that there seems to be a car that is continuing to run nearby some bank. Harry is to go on and tell the chef behind the counter here that it seems that there might be a 211 in progress, a robbery in progress, and Harry's telling the chef, it's like, hey, you might as well go on and tell these guys that this is like happening now. Like, make sure you tell them that. So the chef's going on and telling them about this, and Harry's realizing that it's going to be too late by the time they get here. So Harry rushes out and is to now have to go on and pull out his .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun, and start blasting away at none other most of these thugs, but then it's to also go on and shoot the driver of this car and take him down. And so we also had the one interesting bit of dialogue when Harry was talking to his superiors before and mentioning about Harry, who is to go and shoot a man. And Harry was like, well, like, there is an obvious reason why he went on and shot that man, because he was, like, running after a woman trying to, like, take advantage of her. And they're like, well, like, what was the just cause of killing this man? And Harry's like, well, when you go and see a man who's running around without clothes on with a kitchen knife going after a woman, like, I think that's more than reasonable cause. It's like, yeah, it is. As the mayor is kind of hearing this story. So Harry is to now go on and is to see this one thug going for his shotgun within this bank robbery and back in this situation. So Harry is to now go on and say, hey, did I shoot 5 bullets or did I shoot 6? Out of all this excitement, I couldn't tell. But this is a 44 Magnum. This is the most powerful handgun in the world. And so it's just one question that I have to ask you. Do you feel lucky? Do you feel lucky, punk? So the thug is to go on and just like, I'm not gonna test it. And so Harry is to grab the shotgun and start walking away. And then the thug goes on and is like, but sir, I need to know. And so Harry is to go on, put the gun to the guy, click. Yeah, he had no bullets left. So it's like, yeah, what a mistake, son. So Harry walks off. Like this guy is kind of down for the count, anyways. And plus, like, oh, I forgot about the whole like, and your head will be blown clean off. Like that was the one thing that I forgot about in that whole thing. But eventually it gets reiterated by the end of the film, so maybe I'll remember that by the end of the movie. So Harry then goes on and murders 4 bank robbers. And so we now go on, and Harry at some point is to find out about this boy who is to get killed, who is to be found shot in the face by Scorpio. So, come to find out, his mother was to find Thomas Russell, and so now because they were to go on to have read that note, they're naturally assuming that at some point they're going to go after a preacher after that. They're going to find some preacher. So we go on and we now forcibly have it where Harry is to have a partner. And of course, this partner is a guy named Chico. So Harry is getting partnered up with Chico as Harry, I think, is talking to Blessler and mentioned him. It's like, well, wait a minute, like, my partner's going to come back in a couple of weeks. And Blessler's like, well, yeah, but, like, I want you to just be partnered up with somebody. Like, you need somebody for this case. So Harry is to go on and say, it's like, well, dude, I've lost a bunch of partners from doing all this. So Harry is to go on and meet with a guy that I think he ends up calling like Fatso weirdly, or like I think that's his name bizarrely. And so this guy is to go on and say that Harry is to hate everybody, and like we go on and we have it to where it seems like Dirty Harry has a number of reasons of why he's to be just called Dirty Harry, because like he doesn't like anybody, like he hates everybody. Like it just seems like they're always trying to figure out why this guy is to be called Dirty Harry, but like they just have so many like freaking reasonings and whatever. So we have Chico who's asking, it's like, well, does he hate Mexicans? And Harry's like, well, I hate everybody. So we go on, and so at some point we also have Harry that is to be forced to go on and is to trying to talk a men off a ledge, because they're starting to go on and trying to find all these people that are kind of on top of these ledges, and they're trying to also look for this tan briefcase that would hold a gun. So they go around town and they are starting to look for this tan briefcase, and they think that they spot a guy with this tan briefcase, and come to find out, we of course have Harry, who is to peek through this window to see like the reasoning for this tan briefcase, and come to find out it was some guy like giving this woman like clothes and scarves and whatever, And so all of a sudden, like, these two people are getting intimate, and this girl takes her like clothes off, and then all of a sudden, like, we have a number of like neighborhood men that grab Harry and start beating him up. It's like, well, hey, like, he was peeking into the window of Hot Mary, and like Chico's like, what the is going on? And like we have Chico who's asking Harry, like, do you want me to arrest these guys? And Harry's like, no, don't arrest them. So they'll be fine. So come to find out that tan briefcase was a waste. So when they get this call to go after this guy who was to be on this rooftop, come to find out this guy was just suicidal. So Clint Eastwood is to now be on this like cherry picker thing, this kind of machine that kind of like lifts you up and down. So we have Harry that goes on and is to talk to this guy, and I can't believe his story. It's hilarious. So Harry talks to this guy, and it's like, well, hey, like, you know what? If you jump, like, I want to, like, before you do, I want to give like your name and address so that way we can identify you. Because man, when you're gonna fall, like, man, are you gonna make a heck of a splatter. There was one time an old partner of mine was to go on and try to talk a man down, and he took him with him, and like both of them like really splattered, and we couldn't tell who any of them were. And so we go on and we have this guy who's jumping. He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna puke. And so he's like, and so this guy is just so ticked off at Harry that he starts to swing at him, and he ends up just like getting like caught in this cherry picker. And so now Harry is going and bringing him down, because it's like, well, yeah, like Harry is to just kind of figure out a way to tick this guy off, to swing at him, to just kind of drop him down here. And then Harry is to go on and tell his partner, it's like, well, now you know why they call me Dirty Harry, because I go and do all the jobs nobody wants, and I do all the horrible jobs. So now we have to go on and figure out the whole Padre situation. And Harry goes off with Chico to make their way to the identical spot that the killer was before, figuring that he would probably take from that same vantage point and find some priest. So we have it to where the priest was to not want to go on and like switch lives with anybody to protect himself. And Harry is telling Chico that there could have been a possibility that Chico could have been there instead of the preach the priest, because welcome to homicide. So he's like, oh, okay, that sucks, but oh well, it probably would have happened anyways. So come to find out, they're just kind of staking it out. They're waiting. They have a gun out. Harry used to have this kind of rifle, and so they spot that the guy is to come back, and so they start shooting into him, with Chico having this light to kind of be able to see this guy. So they go on and they start shooting at him, and come to find out they can't get to him. And so Scorpio is to start running around and try to get out of here, and a police officer ends up getting shot in the whole chaos of all of this. So now we go on and instead we have Scorpio transition to taking a woman. Or no, wait. yeah, we have a woman being taken. And so what happens is Scorpio is to take this woman and is to keep asking for more money because these guys aren't paying out. So the police decide to finally pay, and so now Harry is to go on and run all over town, run into these subways to make it all the way to this cross, as Harry is to make to all these phone booths and is to answer all these and then to get to the next location where he is to try to hope that this girl is still alive by the end of this. So, and this is like Anne Mary Deacon. So Harry's running around while Chico is like driving around. So it's like, man, does that just suck? So Harry was to go on and get this little wire being put into his body so he can talk to Chico, and so Chico can hear everything. So Harry is now running around, and Harry is to make it to this cross location, and what ends up happening is that Harry was to tape a knife to his knee, knowing full well that at some point he was going to have to give up his gun. So Harry makes it to the drop off, is to toss his gun off to the side, and like Scorpio's like, ooh, that's a big one. So uh so Harry is to go on and start getting beaten the crap out of by Scorpio, and then Scorpio is to tell Harry that he's like, you know what? Like, I don't think I'm going to keep the girl alive. I think I'm just going to kill her off. So Chico, after hearing this, is to start shooting Scorpio because he wants to like protect his partner, and plus also like so we have Harry telling Chico not to kill him, so that way they can figure out where this girl is. So Chico tries to shoot Scorpio, but then Scorpio starts putting bullets into Chico, so he falls over, and so Chico, after this, is going to go to the hospital, and then he's to turn to Harry and decide, like, you know what, like, I don't think that I'm going to be a police officer anymore. I think I want to go on and, like, I have a teaching credit, so, like, I'm going to go on and do that. And Harry's like, okay, fine. like, of course, because every one of his partners is just to, like, give up or, like, die or whatever. So, Anne Mary Deacon gets killed. So we go on, and we had Harry, who had chased after this killer and chased him to this football field, and Harry goes with this other cop, and Harry's telling this other cop to just kind of look away, just don't see what he's doing, because Harry's to chase him down. This guy has a knife wound in his leg, and so Harry is kind of holding over this guy with this leg wound, and is like, "Where's the girl?" As like this guy is of course being tortured. So we have Scorpio, who's to not give anything up, and so after that whole exchange of this guy getting arrested, it seems that Harry was to go on and go too far, which led to like police brutality and all that kind of stuff. So the guys who are talking to Harry are saying that like this guy is going to walk now. Like there's nothing we can go on and do and charge him with anything because of what you did. So Harry's like, well, there's got to be something like you can pin him on. and it's like, well, like we can't go on and like we can't have the smoking gun being done as evidence or anything like that. Like we have to throw all of this stuff out, so like there's nothing we can do. So Harry's like, well, he'll kill again, and I'll like, if like he sneezes, I'll be there, kind of thing. So Scorpio goes on to find this guy who Scorpio's gonna pay $200 to beat the crap out of him, so Harry will leave Scorpio alone. So Scorpio is to go to the hospital saying that he was beaten up by police, and so of course Harry is to go to his superior, and his superior is like, well, hey, like I think he goes to the chief, and the chief is to tell him, it's like, hey, whatever you're doing, knock that off. Uh, like like this guy is saying that he's been getting beaten up by police, and so yeah, so like people are starting to believe his story. So now that Harry can't go on and do anything, we have Scorpio that then turns around and is to make his way to go to this bar where he's talking to this bar guy, and it's to say, it's like, well, hey, like have you ever been robbed in this bar or this alcohol shop? He's like, well, yeah, like I've scared a couple guys away, like I've had this gun on me and this and that. And so Scorpio's like, oh, like, hey man, like don't hurt me, like I scare easily. And the guy's like, yeah, right. So Scorpio goes on and smacks this bottle over this guy's head, takes the gun from him, and runs off to find this bus full of children and this bus driver. And so we have Scorpio who's turning a gun on this lady and is now telling her to, like, hey, just drive. And so Scorpio at first is like, hey kids, like, do you guys all know any song? Like, let's sing all these songs, row, row, row your boats, and all this stuff. Yeah, great, let's go on. Like, everybody just keeps singing these songs. So at one point, which like this movie gets really dark, when Scorpio is to be found up by all these kids and like this adult and whatever, where like Scorpio just like freaking like punches this one kid, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie is freaking brutal. But we also had that one other scene where like Harry was to be having these binoculars while he was kind of watching out for the padre or the priest, and he saw some neighbor who was to like just be declothing, and Harry is like, it's like I guess this job has its benefits every once in a while. So and we also had Harry who goes to this like this strip joint and like sees like women and so on and so forth, and kind of pays his way. So as Harry was to have been all beaten up. So we have it, of course, where Scorpio is to call the police and is to want more money, and is to like say that this woman is to be this bus driver, and like, hey, you guys can look up this girl, and like, but trust me, like, you know how many times that I've done this at this point, like you guys should trust me by now. So Scorpio goes on, and we have it where Harry is to figure out where this bus is and is to jump on top of it. And that eventually leads to have Scorpio making it to this like mill or some place of sorts, where now we have the shootout between the two of them. And like these guys are just running through this site where like these guys are wearing masks, and like both Scorpio and Harry aren't. So all these bullets are flying. Harry and Scorpio, we have eventually at the end of all this, we have Harry who is to put a number of bullets into Scorpio, and we again have it where Scorpio is trying to reach for his gun, and Harry goes on is like, well, hey, this is like, did I shoot 5 guns or did I shoot 6? And all the excitement, like, I really can't tell. But like, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and it'll blow your head clean off. So like, you gotta ask yourself one question: Do you feel lucky? Do you feel lucky, punk? And so Harry, of course, is to realize that he does have one left in the chamber, so he shoots Scorpio here, and he dies, and he falls into this water. And Harry is to go on and take his badge out of his wallet, and he's to kind of fling his badge, and then he walks off. And that's how the movie just kind of ends there with Harry getting his man. So I didn't go in much of the details of who all was who in this one, because I tried to really just rush through the whole like who is Harry talking to kind of moments, because there's really like a lot of times Harry is mostly talking to Bessler in this one, like his superior most of the time, and like most of the dialogue stuff I just want to kind of quickly get past. I want to get to the more interesting or important parts like Hot Mary and and all that jazz. So with that said, I think I'm just going to get out of here. So with that said, goodbye everybody. Bye everybody.